relating to banking, sir. So, under this act, it gave powers to the Reserve Bank of India, the power to license banks, sir. The second objective was to have regulation over shareholding and voting of the shareholders, sir. The third one was supervise the appointment of boards and the management. And the fourth, to regulate the operations of banks and lay down instructions for audits. And fifth was control, moratorium, merger and liquidation. And the sixth was to issue direction in the interest of public good and banking policy. And the seventh objective was of the main act was to impose a penalty on banks if required, sir. So in the year 1965, till those times, the cooperative banks were not part of this Banking Regulation Act. It was amended to include the cooperative banks under its purview by adding sections 56. What the Honorable Finance Minister was telling us, it was the section 56. Under the section 56, the cooperative banks were added into this BR Act, sir. As the economic situation arising from the COVID-19 pandemic has increased the stress in both in cooperative and banking companies, there was an immediate need for legislation in this regard. As the Honorable Finance Minister already has said, the certain amendments were considered necessary in the said act to provide for better management and proper regulation of cooperative banks and ensure affairs of the banks are conducted in a manner to protect the interest of depositors by increasing professionalism and enabling them to raise capital and improve the governance and ensure sound banking under the supervision of Reserve Bank of India. Accordingly, earlier this year, sir, the bill of Banking Regulation Amendment Act was introduced in the March 2020, sir. In the budget session, it was introduced. But the same could not be passed during the budget. In June 2020, President had promulgated the same ordinance of 2020, but the same was withdrawn on the first day of this session. Then a new bill, Banking Regulation Amendment 2020, number 114 of 2020 has been introduced, sir. The earlier bill was number 56 of 2020, sir. It has been removed, it has been withdrawn, and number 114 of 2020 has been introduced, and we are speaking about that bill right now, sir. And this bill is to empower RBI to effectively handle the mishaps or the adversaries in private banks and also in the cooperative banks without any loss of public confidence or disruptions, and will allow the RBI to prepare the reconstruction scheme for failed banks without having first make an order of moratorium on barring deposit withdrawals. This will enable the RBI find suitable suitors for stressed banks. Sir, as Honorable Finance Minister was telling us, the classic example was Yes Bank, and its subsequent rescue has prompted Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to strengthen the hands of the RBI in this front. So now coming to this bill, sir, why this amendment is crucial? We need to go back to see how many cooperative bank scams in India have happened, and also various malpractices in these cooperative banks and their implications. And for that, sir, you have to know cooperatives banks were established in India to facilitate rural credit and to cater the needs of small farmers and businessmen, sir. They were popular with middle and lower income groups because of the high interest rates they offered as compared to commercial banks. However, with the passage of time, most cooperative banks lost their purpose. Excessive state control, politicization further led to their deterioration, sir. By the 1990, none of the public or the private sector banks were willing to deal with the cooperative banks, and thus even otherwise a healthy cooperative banks were facing a tough time. Since 2000, sir, till date, till the latest case of PMC, many cooperative banks were rocked by scams that exposed the malpractices in these banks. Many of these banks did not adhere to prudential norms prescribed by the Reserve Bank of India. I'll give 2 to 3 examples, sir. One, Madhavpura Mercantile Cooperative Bank scam, sir, which had invested a huge amount in the equity market, which was almost equal to its deposit base, and thus violating the RBI norms relating to exposure to the equity market, sir. Another bank, the Krushi Cooperative Urban Bank, had issued loans and advances amounting to 530 million rupees, as against its deposit base was only 350 million rupees. Not only that, most of its loans had not been secured. Similarly, the Charminar Cooperative Urban Bank faced liquidity problems due to the indiscriminate lending to big borrowers against worthless collateral, the land which were given to the bank. More recently, the Nagpur District Central Cooperative Bank was involved in a fraudulent dealings in government securities through brokers. So what I am trying to tell here is this: the kind of scams, the fraudulent things happened in the cooperative banks is the latest example is the exposure of PMC Bank, sir, in which had over 9,15,000 depositors. The RBI had imposed restrictions on withdrawals. Statutory inspection of PMC by the RBI revealed that large group exposure of about 6,226 crore to Housing Development and Infrastructure Limited HDIL group of companies, sir. Of the total exposure to the SDIL group, only 440 crores was disclosed to the RBI. The rest of 5,786 crores remained undisclosed. The modus operandi was very simple, sir. These bank accounts, there were around 21,000 bogus accounts through which they manipulated, so you could not see where that money was siphoned, sir. It had a deposit of 11,000 crores and as I said 9 lakh के ऊपर उसका depositors थे. But irony is some of the, I have heard that time, sir, some of the Reserve Bank of India Employees Association and also RBI Housing Association, they have also kept deposit to the tune of 100 to 500 crores in the same PMC banks. That is the irony, sir. The regulators, the RBI, in which they were working, they themselves had put money in such a bank, sir. So my point is, cooperative banks have for long been the backbone of rural banking. Since their inception, they have been doing excellent work in the field of rural and cooperative banking. The recent scams in cooperative banks have been a jolt to a cooperating banking system. So in order to have this, now I am coming to this bill for why this amendment is crucial. We have to go back to see this in this context. We are bringing certain cooperative banks under the RBI supervision as applicable to commercial banks as a part of efforts to protect the depositors of such cooperative banks. As already Honorable Finance Minister had given one detail, there are number of cooperative banks in this country are around 1,934. The total deposits is to the tune of 10 lakhs and above, and the total loans and advances is to the tune of 7.5 lakh crores. And as he said, number of banks in this cooperative sector, the losses during the 1920 is to the tune of 277, and number of having high net NPA is to the tune of 328 banks, and number of cooperative banks having negative net worth is around 47. As per RBI, over the last 2 decades, banking licenses of about 430 urban cooperative banks have been cancelled across the country, in most cases due to their precarious financial position. There are around last 5 years, there are around 16 urban cooperative banks whose license have been cancelled during the last 5 years. Sir, now I'll come to this bill. In this context, what amendments have been brought in this bill? I'd like to draw attention of the Honorable House. The new provisions, as Honorable Minister said, there are 2 amendments which have been done, the Section 3, Section 45 and Section 56. And the main objective of amending Section 3 and 56 of the BR Act is to extend provisions applicable to commercial banks to cooperative banks as well, so that the cooperative banks are equally subject to better governance and sound banking regulation, and the interest of their depositors are protected, and also professionalism will come into those banks. And the second one is of amending the section 45, enable RBI to make a scheme of reconstruction or amalgamation, as the case of Yes Bank, to protect the interest of the public depositors or the banking system, or to secure proper management of a commercial bank without having to first make an order of moratorium, so that the disruption to the financial system may be avoided. The bill also applied to the society. So the bill also amends the section 3 of the bill, will not affect the existing powers of the state registrars of cooperative societies under state laws, nor will the changes apply to primary agriculture credit societies or to the cooperative society whose primary object and principal business is providing a long-term finance for agriculture development, sir. And if such society does not use part of its name or in connection with its business in the words bank, banker or banking, and does not act as a drawee of checks, this amendment has been useful, sir. Now coming to the bill provides for restricting the cooperative banks from lending to their own directors, which was done in the PMC Bank, and debarring cooperative bank directors employed by or having substantial shareholding in the other companies, which was also done in the PMC Bank, and prohibiting them from the holding directorship in other banks. Such restriction already applied to directors in the commercial banks and help ensure that there is no conflict of interest in board decision making. For sound financial management, sir, provisions regarding financial statements, audit, unclaimed deposits, and effective oversight by the regulator that are currently applicable to the commercial banks but not to the cooperative banks are now proposed to be made applicable to the cooperative banks as well. Regulatory approval and removal of auditors will enhance the transparency, restore depositors' confidence, and protect depositors' hard-earned savings. Regulator will now able to make reconstruction scheme in the respect of cooperative banks as well, in case depositors or the bank are at the risk due to the financial management or government lapses. Now coming to the RBI's power to supersede a bank, sir. Supersede a bank's board in the interest of the public or the depositors, or for securing proper management in the bank, which is currently applicable in respect of the commercial banks and multi-state cooperative banks, is now proposed to be made applicable in respect of non-multi-state cooperative banks as well, with the stipulation that this may be done in consultation with the state government concerned. To facilitate the cooperative banks in raising capital, sir, as less as 25 lakhs, you can start a cooperative bank. Now, currently to access this capital for cooperative banks, it is limited with this amendment that cooperative banks will be allowed to raise money via public issues, private placements of equity, or preferential shares, as well as unsecured debentures. Now coming to the while extending this applicability of banking laws already applicable to commercial banks to cooperatives bank as well, appropriate provisions have been kept keeping in view of the federal structure and democratic function of the cooperatives, sir. No supersession of board without consulting the state government, sir. Where it is necessary in public or depositor interest to supersede a cooperative bank's board, under the proposed amended section 36 AAA is applicable to a cooperative bank, RBI would have first to consult the state government concerned. There is no such requirement in the case of corresponding action 36 ACA applicable to the commercial banks. When it comes to the farmers and cooperation sector person to remain eligible for being director, under this section 10A, which is proposed to be made applicable to cooperative banks, board of directors of cooperative banks shall consist of persons who have special knowledge or practical experience in respect of one or more specified matters, as the matters specified include agriculture and rural economy and cooperation. This may not be in conflict with the state laws or the state bylaws. Flexibility to not apply requirements relating to banks directors, managing director, and part-time chairman. Additionally, under the new section 53A proposed to be made applicable to cooperative banks, RBI would have the flexibility to not apply provisions relating to directors having knowledge or experience in specified matters. Section 10A, RBI's previous approval for appointment of bank's part-time chairman or managing director, section 10B and 35B respectively. And one more member, one vote, one member, one vote preserved while enabling raising of equity from non-members, sir. This is important, sir. State cooperative laws provide for equal voting rights for all the members. Based on the principle of one member, one vote, under section 12, which is proposed to be made applicable to cooperative banks, while the cooperative bank may issue shares to any person within the area of operation, assignment of differential voting right to such persons has not been proposed, unlike the case of commercial banks where the voting rights are in proportion to shareholding. Thus, the democratic functioning of cooperative could be preserved while enabling them to raise capital from non-members as well, sir. So, my point here is, sir, this bill, by passing this bill, I am welcoming this bill. By passing this bill, the depositors' confidence is boosted, sir. And it will also prevent